Welcome if it's your first time here, welcome back if you've been here before. This is chapter 9 of my puzzle story. In today's video, I'll be talking about my experiences doing virtual speed puzzling competitions. I briefly mentioned participating in virtual speed puzzling competitions in chapter 4 of my puzzle story, so if you haven't already checked that out, go back and watch that one when you're done this. There are a variety of ways that virtual speed puzzle competitions can take place. The first one might be you are given a puzzle and a certain time frame to complete it in. You can have as many attempts as you want, and you submit your final time, which is fine. It's a good way to kind of keep practicing. The issue I have with this as an official way of being considered a competition is that it definitely favors people who have a lot more time to keep repeating puzzles over and over again. I don't think it's a true representation of what you can do on your first attempt, but it is a style for online participation. It can keep more people involved. It's not restrictive to a very specific 2-hour session that everyone needs to attend. So there's some benefits to that. Those are not the competitions that I will be speaking about today. The virtual competition style that I'll be speaking about today, and it's the one that I prefer, is where everyone participates at the same time in a group video chat, Zoom call, whatever you want to call it, where everyone can be seen doing the puzzle live and at the same time. There is still sort of an honor system that goes with it where you haven't tried to look at the puzzle or even practice the puzzle in advance. It should still be sealed in the package that you got it. But this, with all the different factors that go into virtual competitions, this would definitely be my most preferred method. The virtual competitions that I compete in are run by the Canadian Jigsaw Puzzle Association, or the CJPA. And as of August 9th, 2025, which was a few days ago, I've competed in 7 individual virtual events and 2 pairs events. In November of 2024, I decided to enter my first ever virtual competition. I figured that I hadn't been competing between national events, which takes place only once per year, and not having that competitive atmosphere or motivation for the majority of the year was turning into be a hindrance in my nationals performance. So I figured this would be a good way to kind of measure my own progress, but also see how other competitors, and especially the top competitors, were doing in, we'll say, the off season or between nationals. So it was a good way to keep up to date with what was going on in the puzzle world, especially within Canada. What made me nervous about entering virtual competitions originally is that you don't always know what the brand is going to be, and that can be challenging, especially if you're used to only practicing with 1 or 2 certain brands and the new ones thrown at you. You don't know what the pieces are going to be like, the size of them, the shape of them, gloss or matte, and all the other little factors that go into puzzles. So that was a concern going into it, but the CJPA did tell us in advance at the time what the puzzle brand was going to be. And for my first competition, it was Clementoni. This was a brand that I've never heard of before, so I hadn't practiced with their pieces. I could have gone out and purchased one of their puzzles just to kind of see how it would feel. At the time, I didn't think about it, a mistake I've since learned from. If I have any opportunity to practice a puzzle brand in advance of a competition, I'm definitely going to do that. But in this case, I didn't. I should have known better, but it is what it is. So I went in completely fresh with what this puzzle was going to be like. November 2024 rolls around and it is competition day. I still don't know what the image is going to be. It's still in its secretive packaging, and the countdown starts. My camera is all set up, laptop set up. I'm part of the Zoom call. Here we go. The puzzle is revealed. Like I said, puzzle by Clementoni, and it's Flavia Amphitheater just to the side of me here. I didn't know what to think of this puzzle. It was so much harder than I thought it was going to be, especially for a speed puzzle competition, a virtual speed puzzling competition. The image is deceptive. It looks like it could be easy, but it's very much not. It was an experience. Before this competition, I had participated in 2 national competitions, which was 4 total rounds, so 4 different puzzles that I had completed in a competition setting. Usually I'm around an hour, give or take a couple minutes, So that's kind of what I was hoping for from this as well, at least maintain the consistency. It's not a Ravensburger puzzle, which is what most competitions are that I've participated in person, but hopefully it should be around the same, maybe a little bit longer, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Unfortunately, in this puzzle, I was completely aimless. I wasn't focused nearly enough as I should have been. Around the 1 hour mark, I don't think I even had half the puzzle done, or just half the puzzle. It was not going well at all. For a speed puzzle competition, this was an exceptionally hard puzzle, but I was making mistakes that, upon reflection, benefited me in the long term, but in the moment, it was not going well. It's also worth noting that at the 1 hour mark, nobody else had finished either, and for a individual speed puzzle competition, for no one to be done at the 1 hour mark is kind of insane. It gives credibility to when I say it was a tough puzzle. It was a tough puzzle. Nobody finishing under an hour is rare. Even for some of the more challenging puzzles you see at national competitions and at the world championships. This one was tough. For this competition, we were given a time limit of 2 hours. You can still complete the puzzle afterwards and submit your time. I don't know if it counts as an official time or not. But you would expect that within 2 hours, the majority of people will finish this. It was taking so long that they did make an announcement during the competition that they were extending the time limit. I don't remember if it was another half an hour or an hour, but it was being extended because I think the host realized we're not going to have a lot of finishers out of the 40 or so people participating. There's not going to be a lot of people finishing under the 2 hour mark. But that was my focus. Just get in under 2 hours and I'll walk away somewhat happy with that. The winner finally finished at 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 10 seconds, and that was Katie Delude-Sicard. She's come up a few times on this channel before. At this point in time, though, I didn't really know much about Katie, if anything. So I didn't know that she was a very good speed puzzler. I now know that she's excellent at it, and the fact that it took her over 70 minutes to finish the puzzle is a testament again to how tough this puzzle was. And then it was still another 6 minutes until second and third place finished, and they finished within 2 seconds of each other. If I was in third place and I was that close to finishing in second, where first and second are the ones that end up with the prizes for these competitions, after an hour and 18 minutes and you miss out on second place by 2 seconds, I would be quite frustrated. And if you watch chapter 8 of my puzzle story, you'll see that a 1 second difference is something that I have experienced. So those few seconds, not ideal. I do feel bad for whoever that third place person was, but they finished in third, so still well done to them. While these three had finished, I felt from the 1 hour mark to the about hour and 20 mark, I had made no progress. Looking back on the video now, it's just me kind of shuffling pieces around on the table, not really doing much. I wasn't organized. I was kind of all over the place. I couldn't stick to one section without moving on to something else really quickly. It wasn't a great experience. It wasn't until shortly after the 90-minute mark, the fourth place person even finished. So people aren't finishing in quick bunches like you sometimes see in speed puzzling competitions. Everyone seems to be quite spread out. There's probably going to be a bunch of people that finish all at once later on down, but again, who knows? This is, while we're all on a virtual call together, no one's looking at the screens while you're puzzling. So there's really no way to know how everyone else is doing. I finally complete the puzzle at 1 hour and 56 minutes and a few seconds and finish in 10th place. I'm also the last person to submit an official time under the 2 hour mark, meaning another 30 or so people are all going to be over 2 hours or longer to complete this puzzle. So I'm happy I finished within the original time limit, but I didn't walk away from this feeling great, and it did almost put me off doing virtual competitions again, because I just figured I can do these types of puzzles on my own. This didn't really tell me anything about speed. But then I rethought the approach. I did look back at the video and thought about this speed puzzle event. If I can take something from it, then maybe the virtual competitions can be beneficial for me. The first thing I kind of realized was that I do need to practice a wide range of brands, because you don't know what you're going to get in virtual competitions. Practicing a wide range, not sticking to one or two, that was going to be important moving forward. Something else I didn't do in this was shape sort. I probably could have shape sorted so much earlier. Even when I had about half the puzzle left, I could have organized myself a lot more. While the image looks extremely clear on the box, it wasn't that as clear on the puzzle itself, which is common. But after I finished the sky and a couple small part of the stuff surrounding the building itself and the flowers and such below were a nightmare to get through. The lines aren't super clear. There's diagonals, which is always a bit frustrating. The shadows going in multiple directions was tough. Plants are always tough. So there was a lot going on. If I had shape sorted much earlier and relied more on focusing on shape, or at least limiting the number of pieces I needed to look at for each individual position on the puzzle, then maybe I would have finished much faster than an hour and 56. And the last thing is to try to stick with this section for longer than a few seconds. I was bouncing around so much from section to section to section, which, moving on to a different part of the puzzle, if you're getting frustrated in one spot, that's normal, that's fine. But if you then move to another one and then another one and then another one, you're not doing anything. You're just going to cycle back to where you started, and nothing will have been accomplished. You've just wasted the last 10 minutes. So understanding more that on how long to properly stick with this section, again, is something that I knew I would need to work on. So yeah, it was an hour and 56 minutes, but there were things I can take away from this that would hopefully help me in future virtual competitions, or more importantly, for the big in-person competitions like nationals and eventually worlds. The last thing I learned from this was puzzling in silence is the worst thing I could ever do. I like the competition atmosphere. For the in-person events, there's always a buzz in the room that just kind of picks up the adrenaline. You have people around you, which also helps as well, but there's still that crowd noise, that white noise, that background noise that makes it seem more like an event. For this competition, I had no sound, and puzzling in silence for almost 2 hours, you're naturally going to slow down. The urgency goes away. This was the first and last time I puzzled for that period of time without any noise whatsoever. So again, something else to learn from as well. So for future virtual competitions, I would have something ready just to kind of help me push through this hour or longer competitions. I didn't really enjoy that first experience. I don't think I've hid that at all. I didn't participate in the next virtual competition that was run, and I skipped the December one as well. But once we got to 2025 and we're a few months away from nationals, I make sure that I'm going to use these virtual competitions to get ready for nationals and keep improving on my overall speed puzzling skills. So I signed up for the February 2025 CJPA virtual competition. Again, we were told the brand in advance for this, which was Ibu. I have some experience with their puzzles. Most of them are nice and bright colors, which goes towards my strengths. Puzzling, a lot of it is illustrations or random images, again, more towards my strengths. But you never know what it's going to be on the day. So I did practice a couple Ibu puzzles in advance just to get used to their style again. and hopefully that would help a bit more going into this event. Once the competition started, we already knew that it was going to be Ibu, and the puzzle was right here beside me, Cats of the World, and it was a circle puzzle, which I didn't for a second think was going to be selected. And not expecting a circle puzzle and receiving a circle puzzle can throw you off, and it threw me off at the start as well. It's a very different mindset on how you're going to space up the pieces, what approach you're going to take. Do you do the border first? Because circle borders are different and can be more difficult. So it slowed me down at the start as I kind of had to rethink my approach to it. But once I got into it, it's bright, it's colorful. It has a lot of sections that are different from each other. Nothing really overlaps. So doing a lot of very small, quick projects, again, right into my wheelhouse for a puzzle like this. So I was feeling pretty good. I finished this one in 46 minutes and 15 seconds, which is a huge improvement over the last virtual competition that I was in, and that is good enough for 4th place. It's still 10 minutes behind first place, but that was by Liam, and they're an incredibly fast puzzler, especially when it comes to the virtual competitions. So I'm okay with that. 4th place, thrilled. If I was under 45 minutes, I would have been a bit happier, but 46 minutes, that's just fine. An hour and 10 minutes faster than the last competition, great. This result was obviously much more to my liking. I think it was to a lot of people's. In the last virtual competition I did, like I mentioned, only 10 people finished under the 2-hour mark. In this case, it was 38, 39 people that finished under 90 minutes. So yes, it was an easier puzzle, of course, but it felt more like a speed puzzle event, not so much a grinding event and just kind of hoping for the best. There was a lot more skill involved when it came to speed puzzling for this, so maybe I'll keep signing up for these virtual events. I can see the benefits of them. Still in February, a few weeks later, I was supposed to compete in my first pairs event, virtual event, but due to a last-minute work commitment, I had to pull out, which was disappointing because, one, I already paid for the event, so that's a bit disappointing. You let down your partner as well, which doesn't feel good. So, and you just want to compete in these events. This would have been the first event that we would have competed in as a pair for quite a few months, and we're only a couple months away from nationals. This would have been good practice, so not ideal. We did the puzzle the next day and submitted our time, not an official time, but if we had competed, we would have finished in the top 5. So that's a bit disappointing to miss out on a potential finishing spot like that, but it is what it is. Sometimes things come up. Also on that same day, I was supposed to compete in another individual event, but again, the work commitment overruled that. The puzzle for that was Dogs of the World, so the sibling puzzle to the Cats of the World. I think it would have given an advantage to anyone that competed in the first event because you kind of knew the style of the puzzle. It followed essentially the exact same setup. Colorful, a lot of little small projects on there. I did time myself after. I would have finished, I think, in 8th place with the time I recorded separately. It's probably a bit slower because it's on a competition atmosphere. Still top 10. A bit slower. But I didn't compete. That's fine. Hopefully nothing comes up in future events. Moving on to March of 2025, I am now less than 2 months away from the Canadian Nationals. The training is fully underway, practicing almost on a daily basis with individually, with my partner or with my team. Very, very busy, but I'm definitely going to be using I have 6 puzzling events coming up virtually, 4 individuals and 2 pairs. Definitely going to be using those to get ready for nationals and really get into that competitive mindset. There has been a change at this point to the CJPA approach to the virtual competitions, and that is they are no longer revealing in advance what the brands are. So there's no way to kind of practice unless you can guess. Sometimes box shape, as I'll get to in a bit, box shape can give it away. But beyond that, You can maybe eliminate brands that you've already done, but who knows who's donated the puzzles to the competitions or sponsored the puzzles for these competitions. So you just hope for the best and see how it goes. So on competition day, the puzzle is revealed, and it is by New York Puzzle Company, and the puzzle is called Splendid Summer Home. I had only ever done one puzzle from this brand before. It's not one that normally sticks out to me. I'd done it a couple months before, I think back in December or early January. I had done a puzzle from this brand, but it was a 750 piece puzzle, and I wasn't really registering this as a potential competition puzzle. It's a bit of a random cut, but not really. It's large pieces. They're challenging puzzles. They're definitely not easy. So like I said, they're larger pieces, a bit of a random cut, neither of which are my favorites. And I finished with a time of 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 36 seconds, which is good enough for 9th place, but it's a good distance behind 8th, I think. And it's still top 10. I've not been out of the top 10 yet in virtual competitions, so feeling good about that. Yeah, I didn't really like the image much. It was okay. It was a fine puzzle. The one positive is that all the puzzles for the CJPA competitions that happen in the same month will be by the same brand. So at least I know now for the remaining individual and the pairs competition I have this month that they're both going to be New York Puzzle Company, so I can maybe practice it a bit more and get used to this style of puzzle. The next week was the second individual event, so I did practice the puzzle from the week before a couple more times to try to get used to it, see if it helped. It didn't. So the puzzle is revealed. It is, again, like I said, New York Puzzle Company and called Pinball Pieced. I really liked the image on this. I thought it was just a fun image. It looked easier than the week before, where I had a time of 109 the week before, so I figured if I can beat that, I'll be happy. This was clearly broken down into different sections. I felt like I could make some good progress with this. But large pieces, a bit of a random cut, still not my wheelhouse. We'll see how this goes. The only thing I enjoyed about my finishing time was the symmetry of it, and my finishing time was 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. So that's nice to write down, but that is slower somehow than the week before, which I don't know how. What I think it came down to was the white bits of the puzzle. Because it's a bit of a random cut, shape sorting is difficult to do. I attempted it, tough to do, but the white, it doesn't look like there's a lot of white ice on here. I'm going to call it ice or snow. But there was more in the puzzle than it seemed, and the white bits took a lot longer than I thought they would have. So while I was disappointed, I didn't have much time to dwell on it because I had to quickly race to my partner's home because 90 minutes later was going to be the pairs event on the same day. This was going to be my first official pairs virtual event, so I didn't really know what to expect when it came to working with a partner for a virtual event. I don't think it would really make a difference than doing a puzzle at any other time. We did quickly practice a New York Puzzle Company puzzle. It was the one from the week before from the individual, just to kind of get used to how much space we're going to need, how the pieces moved on this table. A lot of little things that you might not take into consideration, but can still help knock maybe a few seconds or a minute off your total time. Any slight advantage you can get, take it. So it is yet another New York Puzzle Company branded puzzle. 3 in 1 month for competitions, that's more than enough. Definitely going to take a break from them after this. But the puzzle is called Islander. It's a nice little puzzle. There's definitely some challenging sections within it, but we make really good progress. I feel like we're consistent all the way through, and we end up with a time of 40 minutes and 51 seconds, which is good enough for 4th place, which I'm thrilled with, especially as it's our first pairs virtual competition. I think it was the first virtual competition for my partner ever, so there's that factor that goes with it as well. And with only about 6 weeks to go until nationals, I think that's a pretty good result to have, and it's a good boost of confidence as we head into the final stretch of training and practicing for the big competition coming up in about 6 weeks. Finally, we head into April of 2025. Nationals is fast approaching. We're less than a month away. I still have 2 individual and 1 pairs virtual events in this month to get through, and I'm hoping for top 10 positions in all the events. Higher would obviously be better, but top 10, I'll feel good with that. The puzzles for this month are going to be from Pomegranate, a brand that I have never done a puzzle with before, barely really even heard of them. I don't know what the puzzle brand is going to be until the first day anyways, but it's probably going to be another large branded puzzle. This seems to be the trend with the online virtual competitions. So I do, in preparation, just in case they're large pieces, in preparation, I try a few, practice with a few large piece puzzles. Hopefully that helps when we get to the events. The first puzzle of the month is The Quest for Knowledge. I love the image of this puzzle. It definitely has its tricky sections in this. I finished with a time of 1:13:15, which is good enough for 6th place. Only 2 people finished under an hour mark, so it's another tricky one, I think, for everybody. But I'm feeling pretty good with 6th place at this point. It's under 75 minutes. It's not ideal. You still want to be closer to an hour mark or less, but you know what? I'll take it. It was large pieces, and there was some aspects to the design. A couple false fits, but especially the stars. The star section took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but I still love the image. I would definitely do this puzzle again. I haven't yet, but I did enjoy it. 6th place, happy with that. The second event is the pairs virtual event for this month. It's definitely going to be Pomegranate again. We know once it's, like I said, once we see the first puzzle of the month, the other ones are going to follow the same suit. It's 1 brand per month. I almost had to bail on this event again because of a work commitment that finished only 30 minutes before the event was supposed to start. There was no way I was going to be able to get home or to my partner's home in time to get settled and get everything set up for the event. However, we decided, what if we just do it in the conference room at my workplace, which worked out fine. Nice large table, great. So within a few minutes of finishing work, got everything set up, and we're ready to go. Hopefully we're mentally prepared for it. We don't have time to practice like we did last time, so we're going straight into this. No warm-up. Not ideal. The puzzle is revealed, and it is called Harriet Tubman. Again, another nice puzzle. I'm starting to like the pomegranate images a lot. So maybe I'll look more into this brand when I'm not practicing for a Worlds competition coming up. But for now, this is the experience I have. The week before, The Quest for Knowledge, loved it. Harriet Tubman, also a great image as well. With a time of 36 minutes and 13 seconds, which super happy with, under 40 minutes. My partner and I finished in 3rd place. Going into this, rushed from me coming from work, not being able to have a warm-up beforehand, and finishing in 3rd place. This is our last competition, the 2 of us together before Nationals, which would take place, I think, 2 weeks later. Great feeling. Really, really good motivation heading into the national competition, and I'm happy with that. Now I have to race home because within an hour or so is going to be the individual event. The individual event starts on that same day. Again, it's another really colorful, fun puzzle by Pomegranate called Jelly Bean Hill. And I really enjoy colorful puzzles. They're just more interesting to complete. I'm not a fan of things like landscapes where it's just a few muted colors, or forests where it's greens and browns. I really like puzzles like this. The challenge with this puzzle is that while colorful, a lot of the colors show up in multiple different places. So sorting pieces becomes a challenge. You have to look for very subtle differences in the shading maybe. Building shape becomes important. So while I did enjoy the puzzle and the image, I knew this was probably going to take longer than I wanted it to. Only 3 people finished under an hour for this puzzle, so again, another challenging one. But with a time of 1 hour, 5 minutes and 35 seconds, I do well enough to finish in 6th place, same as the week before. Consistency going into nationals is the best I can hope for, so I'm okay with that. This also marks the end of the CJPA virtual event season, we'll call it. They stop during the month of nationals, and there's Western regionals. It's also summertime. People are taking a break from puzzles for some reason. I don't know why, but they take some time off, and now I need to think if I'm going to continue with these in the future. Probably because I felt they were definitely helpful for me to stay in that competitive mindset in between these in-person events, which are hard to find, especially in where I live. There's not a lot of in-person events that are reasonable to get to, so this is the best way to still compete. So I had recorded this video earlier and I was going to post it. However, a couple days ago from the time of this recording, I participated in another virtual event when the CJPA season restarted, and I figured I might as well reshoot the video and include that one as well for very specific reasons. Now, the CJPA hosts a lot of virtual events, 1, 2, sometimes 3 per month, but there's a lot of demand for it, and these events sell out within minutes, really. So if you're not sitting at your computer trying to buy them like concert tickets going on sale, you're probably not going to get a spot. I was lucky for all the events that I participated in February, March, April. I was able to get a whole bunch of registrations, which worked out well for me. But there were a lot of people that did miss out. So for this event, it was initially only open to those who had never participated in an online event before. A lot of people had participated in person at nationals, but not virtually. So it was only open to them to begin with. So I didn't really give it a second thought. However, not all the spots were taken, and there was a few remaining available spots for those who had competed before, like myself, and I was able to snatch up one of those remaining few spots. So I was definitely happy with that, and I could use this as a way to kind of get into a competition mode a little bit with the World Championships just 5 weeks away. So I was happy with that. The puzzle, as always, remains hidden inside the shipping packaging. However, in the past, the shipping had always been done in solid cardboard boxes. This time they were sent out wrapped in like a plastic packaging. So unfortunately for this particular event, because of what brand they chose, the brand's box is very distinct. So you don't even need to open the packaging to know what brand it is. So with about 99% certainty, I could guess that this was probably going to be a Gallison puzzle. Their box has a certain edge to it in the middle of the box where the top and bottom come together. So I could kind of guess that was likely going to be what the brand is. And I was able to practice a couple times with the other Gallison puzzle I own, just in case that's what it turned out to be. It was also important for me to do that because I've been practicing so many Ravensburger puzzles to get ready for the World Championships that suddenly switching over to a Gallison, which is a large piece brand, a glossy brand, essentially completely the opposite of what a Ravensburger puzzle is. Gallison puzzles tend to be more portrait style or square style, which again Ravensburger doesn't really do as often, sometimes but not as often. So being able to just remind myself what a Gallison puzzle was definitely was going to help me in that competition. The puzzle is revealed and it is in fact a Gallison, so my guess was correct. Hopefully my practice beforehand is going to help at least a little bit, and the puzzle is called Buzzy Bouquets. It is a painted artistic puzzle, which can be tougher. It is large piece and glossy, but it's almost entirely flowers, which is not ideal for me. However, it's not a whole lot of flowers all combined. It is a bunch of flowers, but in very small individual projects throughout the entire puzzle. And like I said, small projects I'm great with. I can focus on one thing for a very short period of time, get it done, move on to something else. So as long as I'm sticking with the small projects, I'm not getting distracted, and I'm paying attention to the small details of the pieces while I'm collecting projects for something else, all of this should come together quite well. I do feel like I'm making good progress, but you never know how everyone else is doing. Some pieces are frustrating me. I just can't figure out where they go, and it feels like there is so much pink in this puzzle that that's starting to frustrate me as well. I'm just trying to get through this as quickly as possible. I finished with a time of 42 minutes and 34 seconds, which is my fastest ever competition time at all, virtual or in person. So I'm feeling good about that. I do have headphones in throughout the entire competition, so I have no way of knowing how many people may have finished before me. I feel like I did pretty well, but I'm going to have to wait to see what the official results are. There's no way for me to know for sure what position I've finished in. This is also the largest ever virtual competition hosted by the CJPA, with around 80 registered participants. Usually it's closer to 40-45 people, but it's a new season. They've expanded how many people can compete in it, so there's a lot more people that potentially can win and beat me. So again, no idea what place I have finished in at this point. I'm just sitting, watching other people do their puzzles, see how well everyone else does, and see how long it is until the person after me finishes. The next person after me finishes almost 10 minutes after I finished, and third place finishes 1 second after them. So with such a large gap between myself and the person after me, I'm not quite sure what spot I've finished in. How many of us finished really closely together in first, second, third, whatever that might have been, and how long it was to the next batch of people that finished. I'm very confused. It wasn't until about 10 minutes later that someone messaged me through my Instagram account, and then someone messaged me through another platform congratulating me on finishing first. That's how I found out, and I can't believe that I finished first. It's the first time that I've won a puzzle competition, so I'm feeling thrilled. I wish I had known at the moment that I had finished in first, but I'll take it. First place, loving it. I'm especially happy with it because it is a large piece puzzle, which I don't really like. It's a flower-based puzzle, which I really don't like, but it feels good knowing that my training and practicing for Worlds seems to be paying off for this. Practicing with other people has been paying off. Doing some virtual co-puzzling events has been paying off. The Canadian Speed Puzzlers group that's mentioned in previous videos and in the Puzzles Chatty episode 1 with Devin Donaldson. She is one of the facilitators of it. They have events that they are hosting for Canadians each week virtually. The week before this competition just happened to be flower-based puzzles is what we were working on, so that probably helped a little bit as well. I was already in a flower mindset, but feeling very good. There's no trophies or medals for virtual competitions because why would there be? So the puzzle up here, it will remain in my collection as the first puzzle I've won a competition with. So yeah, just overall happy with that. I'm glad I did decide to enter that competition. It wasn't, like I said, a nice little boost before I get to Worlds in about 5 weeks from now. This is the last competition I will be able to compete in before heading to Nationals. There's other virtual competitions I could have signed up for, but as we get closer, I just want to focus on the Ravensburger puzzles, those designs, make sure that my mind's fully focused on that style of puzzle, the piece style, everything else that goes with that. So yeah, just 5 weeks until the World Championships. That is it for this video. Click like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment below. Do you participate in virtual competitions? What are your thoughts on them? And make sure to click subscribe to stay up to date with any content that's released on this channel. With the World Championships in Spain just 5 weeks away, content will start to be focused on that coming up very, very soon. So if you're interested in the World Championship aspect and how I'm getting ready for that and what my thoughts are on it, make sure to click subscribe. Remember that I also release Speed Puzzling 101 tips and tricks videos every single week that just provide some advice for those speed puzzlers looking to improve their overall skills. It can be for people that are just getting into speed puzzling, or you could have been doing it for a while and something I say might help even a little bit. Just keep adding to your speed puzzling toolbox. And watch the first 2 episodes of Puzzles Chatty, where I sit down with other speed puzzlers and talk with them about their puzzle experiences. Episodes 3 and 4 are being recorded very soon, so again, make sure to click subscribe when you get updates for when those are dropped. So until next time, as always, happy puzzling. Bye.